May I now request the Honorable Justice Dhiyani, former judge of the Uttarakhand High Court, to please present a brief sketch of Justice UC Dhuliya, on whose memory this event is being held. Justice Dhiyani, please. Yes.
The galaxy adorning the dais, Srimati Sumitra Dhuliya, ladies and gentlemen. Karmbhumi Foundation has given me the responsibility of placing brief life sketch of late Honorable Mr. Justice Keshav Chand Dhuliya, in whose memory the lecture would be delivered by none other than the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Honorable Mr. Justice, Dr. Justice Dhananjay Y. Chandrachud, who is most erudite and learned, who has unflinching loyalty to the cause of justice, who strives to achieve excellence in judiciary, and for whom integrity is not negotiable, who is also the torchbearer of Indian judiciary. His interaction with various stakeholders is an effort to modernize the judicial system. This memorial lecture on democracy, debate, and dissent is also an attempt in such direction. The task assigned to me is difficult but not impossible. I will try to navigate, as I have been assured by the veteran naval officer, that I will not face rough sea for next 10 minutes. There is also an assurance from Ace film director, who is also present here, that there will be no cuts and retakes during the making of this biopic. This land of Uttarakhand is ageless womb of saints and sages. One such saint was Pandit Bhairav Dutt Dhuliya, who was renowned freedom fighter and distinguished journalist of his times. He was the chief editor of weekly newspaper Karmbhumi, which had the largest circulation in Garhwal and was read by all with keen interest and enthusiasm. It was the synonym of akhbar. Akhbar meant nothing else but Karmbhumi during those days. It was read by poor by circulation. If somebody is sitting in the bus, then all of them will circulate it one by one and then read it. Upper and middle class used to subscribe it. You just read on and you can't leave the newspaper aside till you have finished it. It was published from Lansdowne, Kotdwar. Earlier, Pandit Dhuliya was editor of Nav Shakti, published from Patna. I was a school-going child when, for the first time, I read Karmbhumi. My father was posted in Lucknow in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Many journals and periodicals we used to subscribe. Karmbhumi was one of them, and on the forefront of all the newspapers, periodicals. It was a fearless voice of the people of Himalayan region in District Gazetteer of Garhwal. It has been mentioned that its publication started in 1939 and had a circulation of 2000. Imagine, during those years, a circulation of 2000 was a large circulation, large publication, and Pandit Dhuliya was the chief editor of this Karmbhumi newspaper at a meager salary of rupees 25 per month. When emergency was proclaimed and freedom of press was curtailed, Pandit Dhuliya published verses, shlokas of Bhagavad Gita in his editorial as a mark of protest. Dissent is also one of the topic today, democracy discussion and dissent in this memorial lecture. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानं धर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. One of the excerpts from the editorial of Pandit Dhuliya in Karmabhumi. Justice Keshav Chand Dhuliya was the distinguished son of distinguished father. He was born in village Madanpur in district Pauri Garhwal on 13th November 1929. His primary education was completed in Bankandi school near his village. Thereafter, he sought admission in various schools near his village such as Matiali, but was refused admission as his father Pandit Bhairav Dutt Dhuliya was a renowned freedom fighter, as has been told by the chairperson of Karmabhumi Foundation that he was denied admission everywhere because his father was a renowned freedom fighter. He went to jail for 15 years, political detainee, political prisoner. He was also able to get admission in the missionary school. He was able to get admission in missionary school in Chelusen in Pauri Garhwal, as principal Mr. Peter was very considerate. Later, after independence, when his father was released from jail, he graduated, post-graduated, and studied law at the famous Allahabad University, where he came in contact with eminent professors and freedom fighters. He was a student leader himself and was in the forefront of all the emerging issues of students aspiring in the young nation. He returned to Lansdowne to practice law in district courts, local courts, and to help his father in the publication of a famous weekly newspaper, Karmabhumi. Yesterday, I received some additional inputs when I was preparing this speech. He was a cultural activist who organized social and cultural activities with the artists of Uttarakhand under the banner of Lok Kalakar Sangh, which was funded by UNESCO. These inputs I have received from Mr. Shekhar Pathak and also from a book of Shri Mohan Upreti. The book is titled as Kuch Meethi Yaadein, Kuch Titi. However, after marriage with Shrimati Sumitra Dhuliya, presently chairperson of Karmabhumi Foundation, Justice Keshav Chand Dhuliya had additional family responsibilities, and therefore he ventured to practice law at the High Court of Allahabad in mid-1960s. He arrived in the city with his personal belongings only and struggled in the initial years. But despite that, he was in constant touch with the people of Hills, UP Hills, who sought his guidance and help to resolve their issues with Board of Education, Accountant General Office, and Board of Revenue Office, which are all located in Allahabad. He would reply by letters regarding their various issues. He was appointed as a Chief Standing Counsel for the state of UP in the Allahabad High Court and was later elevated as permanent judge of the same High Court on 24th May 1984. Those who had been practicing in Allahabad High Court during those times might recall that Justice R.P. Shukla, Justice A.N. Dikshita, Justice Parmeshwar Dayal, Justice Verma, all were administered oath on the same day, that is 24th May 1984. He gave numerous noteworthy judgments and was known for his speedy disposal of cases. His untimely death on 15th January 1985 left a deep void among his family members, friends, and admirers. Justice Keshav Chand Dhuliya was the true son of the soil who rose to such high position from humble background with the great determination and hard work. He left a legacy of honesty, truthfulness, and concern for the human dignity. This event is humble tribute to his holy memory, I will borrow the words from a poem of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore on this occasion thus: Immortal thou art, beyond the ocean of death, we recall you. Thou have created your own abode everywhere, lit new light in this mundane world, we recall you. Thou have poured nectar of freedom on the captives, ornamented the universe with garlands of truth, we recall you. Left the message that is fearless and painless, hail to that, hail, we recall you. The original poem was in Bengali. This is the translation. As Chief Standing Counsel, Mr. Keshav Chand Dhuliya argued on behalf of the state with eloquence. A judge is known by the judgments which he delivers. As justice, he rendered clear and precise judgments which are reported in Allahabad Law Journal. A few of them are, because if I don't make a mention of few judgments, the story will be incomplete. A judge is known by the judgments which he renders. One is Srimati Devmani versus Manna, 1985 Allahabad Law Journal. The application under Section 125 CRPC cannot be rejected on the ground that civil litigation under Hindu Marriage Act is pending between the parties and the wife is already getting maintenance allowance under Section 24 Hindu Marriage Act. Shane Alam versus Madhyamik Shiksha Parishad, again 1985 Allahabad Law Journal, where a student accused of using their unfair means was served with a charge sheet, to which he replied. Spot inquiry was also conducted. The committee took into account the explanation of the student and the material. It should not be said that the student was not afforded opportunity of hearing. Principles of natural justice were adhered to. They cannot be put in straight jacket. Another one is Committee of Management Firozabad versus District Inspectors Schools Agra, 1985 ALJ. After the reference to the Deputy Director of Education, the District Inspectors of Schools ceases to have any jurisdiction over the matter. This was a case relating to UP Intermediate Education Act 1921. These are all precedents for our generation and for the future generations. I was in judicial service in UP when Shri Keshav Chand Dhuliya became a judge of the Allahabad High Court. I was proud of him. I am proud of him. Still, I am proud of him. There is a saying that when good men die, their goodness does not perish, but lives though they are gone. I would like to quote a poem, a few lines from a famous book, which seemed to me to sum up his life as he would have probably wished it to be summed up. The lines are borrowed from another book, famous book. His life was gentle. His life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him, that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man so powerful, yet so humble and humane. His patriotism, which he inherited from his father, and devotion are worthy of emulation by all of us. Responsibility lies on the shoulders of this generation of Dhuliya family to carry forward the legacy of their great father and great grandfather. There is an adage, maxim, which has reference to this event. And that adage is, if you plan 1 year ahead of you, you grow rice. If you plan 10 years ahead, you plant trees. And if you plan 100 years ahead, you educate people. You create awareness among the masses. I'll repeat, if you plan 1 year ahead of you, you grow rice. If you plan 10 years ahead, you plant trees. And if you plan 100 years ahead, you educate people, you create awareness among the masses. This memorial lecture is a humble beginning to achieve the aforesaid objectives. Before yielding the floor to Honorable Mr. Justice Sudhanshu Dhuliya, scion of legal aristocracy, and to whom intellectual integrity is fundamental, I express my gratitude to Karma Bhumi Foundation that I was considered worthy of placing brief life sketch of Honorable Mr. Justice Keshav Chand Dhuliya before this august and distinguished gathering. It is indeed a great honor to me. I am thankful to all of you. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.